Hello, hello, welcome back. So, I didn't really think I'd be making a video like this, but I saw like a comment in a Discord, and I was like, okay, I guess I can kind of make a video about this, even though I have no plans on really doing this right now. Someone asked like, or not asked, but people were just talking about like, LOL characters and stuff, and RPG Maker stuff. That's already been in the LoL community. It got me thinking, like, oh, there's a lot of RPG Maker characters I wanted to do, especially like a Corpse Party. And then it kind of started talking about Lawl Chaos again. I was like, alright, I guess I should just make a video about this, because I've thought about it a long time now. For those who probably don't know, I did used to have a LoL. Like, I spreaded a good bit of it in, like, what was originally known as the LoL Nexus Discord? I don't know if it's still called that. I haven't been there in like years. But I spent a good bit of time with sprites back then. I got pretty far in, but eventually I kind of just tired out because spriting is a lot of hard work, and I didn't really understand video editing and such. So I kind of just like lurked. I still kind of, as I said before, I soaked in information, but I didn't really use any of it. And also another one of the things happened is I came up with way too many characters, and Lawl Chaos just never got off the ground because of that. So I thought, you know what, I guess like for fun, I can compile all the characters that I still consider doing. That's not to say I want to do Lawl Chaos anymore. I'm just too busy right now. I've debated on asking like someone to help me, or like maybe like commissioning someone money. I know that's not really a thing the LoL community does, because I just want to see my stuff eventually come into existence at some point, because I spend every day thinking about this way too much. But at the very least, no, I can just go over like all the characters, that I still consider. So yeah, like we have a whole list of faces here. It's mostly just like it's like I think 22 characters. There was way more, I'll tell you right now, but a lot of them I didn't include on this list for personal reasons. I'm not really interested in them anymore, or there was some kind of controversy associated with them that made me just kind of cut them out entirely. So that's why some names that you might have forgotten were here. For those who even remember my old roster. But yeah, so I thought, it could be fun just going down the list and explaining my thought process behind all these characters, if, you care. This is just kind of meant to be a fun thing, or if you like hearing me talk and like think about my mindset and everything, I might as well just do that for those people just like listening in. So yeah, the whole Corpse Party crew is coming up first, because yes, I am if you couldn't tell by the videos I made, I am a big Corpse Party fan. It's probably like my favorite series of all time. Anything ever. Also, Corpse Party is like one of the few RPG Maker franchises still not represented in LoL in like any way at all. And it's probably like again, it's my favorite, but it's also, I feel like it's definitely on the cuffs of being doable by somebody. And I wanted to be that somebody because I'm just very passionate about these characters. And Satoshi was the first one that he was going to be my first moveset. I think that's kind of, you probably might have even seen me post some sprites now and then, and back then in Nexus, but yeah, he was meant to be my first character. I guess I can also talk about the movesets, because they're probably, I don't know if it'll happen or not, but, or maybe a little bit, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Satoshi was going to be the first one, because inherently I like him as a protag. I think he's very underrated, even though he's not really important overall. And I think his moveset was going to be simple enough that I could adapt it into a LoL moveset without taking moves from other characters. Because one of the big things I struggled with as I kept working on Corpse Party characters is they have a lot of stuff they can pull for special moves, but if I wanted to do more than one rep, it would become very difficult to not overuse like certain stuff. Because Corpse Party, unlike characters like Viola and Ellen and Eve, who just have like, a lot of objects and things from their settings, Corpse Party has like a limited cast of villains, and there's not many supernatural things happening. I mean, it's very supernatural at its core, but it's not like you can like have like 5 different moves of like an object coming to life for like all your tilts. Like they didn't have that kind of flexibility. Like I could maybe pick a specific ghost to put into one of their special moves because they were very complex, but then I would probably have to animate all of their normal attacks. And once I kind of realized that, and then I also struggled with the final smash for Satoshi especially, I kind of just gave up. But Satoshi's full moveset was done. I had everything in my head. I still do. The recovery, he had a pretty simple teleport. A down B summon character, a neutral B projectile, I think? And I forget what the side view was at the moment. I think it might have also been like some kind of projectile thing. I don't quite remember right now. That being said, would I still do him? I guess. I don't know if he's as much of a priority as I want to say he would be. Because I love Satoshi, but he's not that crazy to me anymore. It doesn't help that a lot of my favorite Corpse Party characters are not LOL material at all. As I've played the Corpse Party games more and more, I just realized that, you know, the main cast is cool, but I like a lot of the side cast a lot more. And they don't have any sprites or assets to work with. So, it kind of sucks. Ayumi. Ayumi actually, I will talk about Ayumi and Yoshiki at the same time, because I actually debated making them a tag team or a duo character, because they're often paired together within the series. And I was like, you know, I guess that could make sense. But the main reason why I kind of separated them here is because, like, over time, I didn't really know how to interpret their swap-out mechanic very well, and also I just don't like Ayumi. Ayumi has a lot of moveset material, but I personally have never really liked her as a protagonist. I know a lot of people do. It's like, she's okay. If you play Corpse Party games, you can probably understand why I'm mixed on her. Personally, she's a very divisive character. But also, she's not interesting to me. I probably wouldn't do her anymore, respectfully. Maybe if I had to, I would. But she wouldn't be, like, anywhere in my radar for a long time. Yoshiki, on the other hand, he's probably the closest thing to, like, a main cast character that I would consider doing. I love Yoshiki a lot. He also would kind of be similar to Satoshi in the move list you could do. So maybe, like, Satoshi could even be an echo of Yoshiki. Yoshiki has a possible teleport move. He has a lot of grapple moves, honestly. He could be a fun grappler character, but I also think of him as, like, he'd be a funny Ganondorf-esque character where he wants to SD. He wants to, like, jump off stage, grab you, and then kill you, and then he'll have the lead even though he died himself, and he'll win the match. I like the idea of him being, like, he is, like, a blunt, in-your-face character, and he has a very simple game plan that might fall apart very easily. And it makes sense he would be, like, a bad character. Like, he is a regular dude in the Corpse Party, which is full of, especially recently, more magical and occult characters. So I just like the idea of this dude tackling someone off stage. It just works. He probably would be my first 5 now. It would definitely be a little bit harder to do, so I don't think he would be my number 1, but he'd be up there. I mean, Kazami and Yuka, I talked about it in the group recently as well. The Discord groups for LOL. I love Kazami and Yuka as concept as a tag team. Both of these characters are very controversial now for multiple reasons. People either think they're weird or they were overused or blah, blah, blah. But I just like the idea of, like, a villain character pulling around like a good character and chasing them and swapping out for their down B. So my thought process was, like, Kazami, obviously, he's, like, if you play Corpse Party, you know, he is crazy. Spoilers. He would chase after Yuka with a knife, and he would run forward, and that would count as him, like, he would, like, basically the down B, they would send the character forward, and they would become, like, a projectile of sorts. Or like a moving assist character or something like that, while the character that was being swapped in would run up behind them, and you would control them now. So the character you send out as a projectile, whether it was Yuka or Kazami, they would have different properties. Yuka is very tiny, so she would be faster, and she would just kind of pop the opponent up. Kazami would maybe like run forward, and he would be a taller projectile, but he'd be slower, but he'd do more damage. I don't know, there was something there. And also, Kazami is different on like a lot of the other Corpse Party characters, in that he actually like throws hands. A lot of the other Corpse Party characters, like, I would kind of have to get creative for what, like, normals they could do, but Kazami could honestly just have a Shoryuken that heals him. If you know the chapter, you know. But I just love the idea of him just, like, having a very strong Shoryuken kill move that also heals him if he hits a tipper on it or something. Oh my god, it just sounds, like, so perfect to me. And then they have a perfect final smash together, which would work no matter who was in play, so I still like them a lot. It would definitely require a lot more sprite work than any of these other Corpse Party characters, but I think they're plenty doable. I think, maybe difficult? I think it would definitely be more difficult, especially for Yuka. Yuka would be very strange to handle, honestly, but I would still like to try it. I definitely, if I could get someone to do this for me, I would definitely ask. It'd be a lot of work though. And Battler, Yumi Neco character. So I know there's someone in the Law community who is eventually doing a Yumi Neco character. I don't know how much they're taking from the fighting game or how much they're taking from the source itself, but it's hard to talk about Yumi Neco because I don't want to spoil anything. It's great. I have some people that are watching me that are also, you know, playing Yumi Neco right now. I think the most I can say is I think Battler has enough material that I could still use his fighting game sprites and give him a unique moveset. I could just turn all of his like fighting game like normals into his actual normals just to save time. It would definitely be a little difficult, but it would be much more doable than trying to use his visual novel sprites and animating from that. I don't know if he would still be first. I think he would. I could totally see him being like one of my first 5 characters, and maybe he'd be a little bit scuffed here and there, and I could like have someone flesh him out later and tidy him up a bit animation-wise and such. Neku. I Love The World Ends With You. It's also probably one of my favorite franchises of all time. Neku is pretty simple. Again, like the only thing you have to struggle with is that he is a RPG character that kind of like and his game focuses around a pin system, which means he has like 300 possible moves. It's like, think of like Mega Man Battle Network, if that makes sense, where there's just like a billion types of like moves that all do different things and status effects and like elemental types, and then your protagonist doesn't have a defined set of like cannon pins that he likes to use. That kind of causes a problem. He's just known to like all of them. So that was like the one thing I struggled with. I think it's still doable. I think the one thing he would need is like a partner system incorporated from the game itself. And then there's like a person who made a Mugen mod for Neku that kind of is mostly what I was thinking of, where you start the match and you can select like from a whole set of pins, like a couple to use as your special moves, and like that's what Neku would use for the match. I'm thinking more like maybe before the game starts, you pick which partner you want, because you would also pick which partner you wanted in Mugen as well before the match started, and then when the match would start, every like B button input would just have 2 variations depending on like which pin you wanted. He's a very complicated character, but like all the sprites are there. He's doable enough. I definitely could just see him being done very simply enough. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if he was my first character I would do now if I had someone to help me. He'd be very easy to just get out of the way and just make Lawl Chaos exist in some format. Teror Hanamura. This is a funny character. If you don't know anything about him, you've probably just been looking at this list and like, this is the Danganronpa character we get in LOL right now? Yes. I've brain rotted on this character the most out of I think anyone on this list. I have his full moveset in my head right now. The problem is making it. Like, I know what every special move needs to do, needs to be. I know what to pull for, how it fits into his character. Like, I've thought about this for years now. The problem is he's, again, a Danganronpa character. He's a visual novel character, so he would be spriting hell to even be remotely possible. But I would still make him my first 5. I don't think people. I think someone would hate me for like making them. And this is like, again, like a lot of my characters I want to do are so complicated. I would be more comfortable paying someone to actually make these characters to make it worth a damn. Because like asking someone to do a LOL moveset for you is like one thing, but I think it's. Considering how complex all these characters are, I would genuinely just pay someone to do these instead. Because I just picked the worst characters to be hyper fixated on. But yeah, no, Terror is good. I won't even tell you what his moveset is, because I don't want to spoil it in case it ever does come to light one day. I do want to do him, though. Yeah, I love him a lot. Wilson, I've kind of just had a realization lately that I kind of fell off of Don't Starve really hard. It also doesn't help there is like a Don't Starve like fighting game now, basically. Like what is it? Smash Up, I think it is. Like, it's a mod, but Wilson is playable in it, and he's pretty decent overall. Most of the moves are kind of simple. They're probably what you would expect. I think you could still make a custom moveset for Wilson, considering that all the sprites are there, all the tools are there. He's in pieces, so it's definitely easily doable. I just don't think I really care that much about him anymore, personally. He's not a character I've ever been interested in. I just wanted to pick him because I liked Don't Starve at the time. That's also why Maxwell isn't here either, because he was just the villain character that was originally on my LOL roster. But I also just, like, he kind of just got thrown in because, oh, villain, rival makes sense. But yeah, nah, not really interested anymore. Frank West. Yeah, he was also originally on the roster. I still think Frank West is perfectly possible in LoL. I got a comment on a previous video saying like, oh, Frank West is already in Marvel vs. Capcom and such. See, here's the thing about that. I know one of the things I wanted to do with Frank West personally is I wanted to base his entire moveset solely on Dead Rising 1. And I was willing to, as I said in that one video, my LOL tutorial video, I was willing to boot up the game on my laptop and screenshot every single frame of animation to make him work. I did it for a good bit. I don't have any of that stuff anymore, but I was going to do it. I was going to tough it out. Because I still think, you know, I like the combo weapons in the later entries, but I feel like Dead Rising 1 Frank West has a lot more material in that you could build a moveset around him just using stuff from the mall, random items, and using those tools and how, like, Let's Players and, like, speedrunners and all those other kinds of people, how they would, like, use the best stuff to get through the game. Because Frank also has a lot of grappling moves, like, he unlocks a lot of wrestler stuff. There's a lot of weird random hidden items throughout the game that you can use as, like, there are some of the best items in the game. Like the mannequin torso, I don't think anyone that's ever been used in any moveset for a fighting game that Frank's ever been in. So I still like the idea of doing Frank. I don't know if he would still be my top first 5 anyway. I think he's always been kind of like, I'll do him later when I've, like, pitched at him enough. Poked at him, pitched, whatever. I still like Frank West. I think he's possible. I think there's a way to make him interesting. But as is right now, he's not a priority, really. Ellis is like the perfect rival to Frank. I've always thought that, you know, if Frank West or Ellis were ever added to LoL, they should rival each other. They both quip, they talk a lot. They're regular average dudes from, like, USA. You know, it just feels like right. It also helps that Frank has interacted with Chuck, who is kind of similar to Ellis in a lot of ways. Or, like, they're both kind of like more country relaxed dudes. I don't know. I still like the idea of Ellis. I just don't know how interesting he would be anymore. I think I originally envisioned him as a mixture of, like, YouTube poop stuff and Left 4 Dead stuff, but I kind of realized later on, after getting some feedback from people, like, yeah, that probably would be great. And even now, I'm like, yeah, YouTube poop stuff isn't like, that's not a thing for Ellis. I would rather make a YouTube poop focused Ellis or some way, but I don't even think that's. So like, I guess like, I don't really think I've been personally invested in Left 4 Dead anymore either. I like the idea, but maybe if I had to make a rival, it would still be Ellis. I would probably grab him up first thing. Well, he's not like a priority again in any way. I wouldn't ever officially add him unless someone wanted it. A rival for Frank then and there. Oh god, how do I talk about this character? Disaster movie Juno! It is her. I bet you were staring at this character and being like, what the fuck is this? Why? I love this character. All my friends are completely baffled at why I like this character. I think I've watched Disaster movie 2 times now. And I would gladly watch it a 3rd time just for this character. Juno is the MVP of that movie. She is so awesome. She is so cool. And I have talked to a friend multiple times now that I would genuinely pay them $300 to make a Juno moveset. I'm completely serious. I'm not joking at all. She would definitely be my bad movie character, but I'm very passionate about this character. I think she has a lot of moveset potential too. She's very goofy. She's very silly. She has so much potential for taunts, and like oh god, I think she would be my first 5 now. It's a weird character, but I really love this character so much, man. She's so funny. Oh my god. One day. And then we have Now. You know, I used to be a big fan of her, where she's from. I used to like be a big fan of the MMO. It was called Mabinogi. I don't know how you would say it. It was made by Nexon. It was a lot of like my early childhood just playing that game, buying all the Karma Coin gift cards. I was never a Wizard 1-1 person, but I was a fan of Mabinogi. The problem is like spriting her would be a pain. She doesn't really do anything. I kind of based around a summoning system and leveling up her summon to perform well. So she was kind of Rosalina Luma-esque, but even more dependent on Luma. She would require so much Frankensteining. It's like, ugh. It sucks because I do kind of really like her as an idea. But also, especially recently, Nexon is kind of just a shitty company in general. I'm not really a big fan of what they've been doing to a lot of their games and fan stuff. I think I'd probably just completely drop her outright. Someone even made an idol for me a long time ago, and I'm so thankful for that. I feel bad that I just don't really want to do this character anymore. Because I'm very passionate about her game, but I still pop in now and then. But, not enough to make a whole character about it anymore. And Maximilian Dude. So Maximilian Dude is interesting because I originally had him as a duo with him and Benny, but sadly Benny passed away, so I don't think I would include Benny anymore. Respectfully, I don't want anyone like killing the poor pupper in a Smash moveset. But I still think Max has a lot of moveset potential. I kind of fell out of Max for a little bit, where I stopped watching him for a couple years. But you know, I kind of always just keep coming back to Max. It's very different from another couple YouTubers that are originally in my roster that I was very invested in at the time. I still like Maximilian Dude. I think he's a notable enough person among the fighting game community and platform fighters and all this other stuff that I think he would be great. I made an idol a long time ago. It wasn't that great, but it was a big step forward for me personally, making a live-action character idol, Frankensteining anything at all. I felt very proud of it. But yeah, again, he would be very painful to do. He has a lot of live-action skits. His Assist Me series gives him a lot of material. He's done a bunch of other videos and jokes that I would still... It would be difficult, but it's definitely there. It would be possible. I would still be curious if I would do him. I don't know. I don't think he's a character that's personally me anymore. I guess. Maybe I'd consider it. Fusion Fall Dexter. So, this is a character that I used to really want to do, like really badly. I'm a big fan of Fusion Fall and Open Fusion. A lot of the Fusion Fall fan servers that still exist to this day. I grew up with it. Fusion Fall is my life. I love that thing. I loved it. I think I still love it even more than Multiverses in some ways. The problem that comes up with Dexter now is, like, I had an idea for what his moveset could be. He has, like, there was a side game that was made after Fusion Fall closed. Cartoon Network was trying to kind of cash in, I guess. And then they made a MOBA hero thing with a bunch of the Fusion Fall character models and such. And it gave some bunch of normals and such for Dexter. And it had him, like, holding weapons. It was better than him just being, like, an NPC model originally. So I think unfortunately that's lost now. I think I would have to do a lot of digging to get a hold of that model again. Ugh. And just, it would still require, like, a lot of Frankensteining. He would be so painful to do. But I would like to do it. Maybe. I don't know. It's up in the air now. Like, it would be so difficult. And Datasaur. So, I loved Kingdom Hearts Recoded a lot. It was the first Kingdom Hearts game I ever played. And then I jumped into Dream Drop Distance. And then I started eventually playing the rest of the series. I had the worst Kingdom Hearts jumping in point possible. But it's made me a big fan of this game, personally. And now that Sora's in Smash, I think it would be even funnier if I just did Datasaur. We already have a Sora in Smash, since we have Toon Sora. But I would like to do Datasaur. I think it'd be funny. I've always liked Recoded. I think Recoded Sora has some busted, insane stuff that he can do that would make him a little bit different. His whole game is, like, he is Sora, but he doesn't have, like, any partner thing, so that wouldn't be a thing taken into account. But he has, like, the weird grid where he can, like, adjust his stats on the fly and, like, give himself all these custom moves and power himself up or down or make himself do more damage or increase his drop rate for being able to die sooner. So you could interpret that into him being a very dynamic or even risk-rewardy character. There's just a lot you could do. I still think it's possible. It would be a little difficult because you'd be working with DS sprites, but that's nothing a little bit emulation can't handle. Yeah. It would be difficult, I think, in some ways, but I think it would be possible. I would still like to do him. Yeah. And the Dimension Crew. I think this is another character that a lot of people are looking at this list and they're like, what? Who is this? Who are these characters? Like, why? Okay, Mario Sonic I give. Like, this is Vader Zim, Frogger, Calvin, and Hobbs? What? This is another one of those weird things where, like, I didn't grow up with the same thing everyone else did. I never saw, like, a Super Mario Bros. Z or anything like that. I grew up with the Dimension Saga, which is, I don't know what it was, I think it was made by someone called the Chocobo Bros or something like that on YouTube. I haven't checked them out in a long time, but they made a series called the Dimension Saga. It was like it was something Dimension something, Dimension Takeover, and Dimension Obliteration. They were 3 animated Flash Machinima series featuring these 5 characters from, like, in their various worlds intertwining and interacting. And I loved it so much as a kid. It's very crusty. It's very cheesy, especially in the very first series. A lot of characters use a lot of Game Boy Advance sprites, but it's so funny. It's so charming. And it's basically so slow. It barely gets updated anymore. I think it's basically almost done. Like, they really want to finish it up and just not touch it ever again, I think. But I love it. I'm very passionate about it. I don't really check it out often anymore. But, like, it's a part of my history, so I would like to do it at some point. I think it also would just be cool to have a team character. We don't have many team characters in LoL. I like the idea of it being Mario, Sonic, and Calvin being the main trio in combat, and then you would summon Frogger and Zim for various, like, special moves interaction, because they were often the ones that were either there or they weren't. And this stuff happened later in the series with Zim. He became even more of a separate character from the rest of the crew. So, and then you could just give, like, Calvin and, like, the recovery moves and then give normals to Mario and Sonic and such, because that makes sense. But Calvin can also, he did a bunch of things too, so you can still give him, like, there's things you could do here. I think I would still like to do it. I think they're definitely still high on my list of the characters I'd like to do. Yeah. Festive Medic. So this is a character that I keep forgetting to ever suggest to LOL polls at all. I'm very passionate about like the TF2 YTP MVs. I love the Festive Medic. I love a lot of the music from him. I love Philip the Bread. I forget if that's his name, the YouTuber that made him. Yeah, I think this is kind of just like, yeah, no duh. I think I have most of his moveset in my head already, where I think one of the things I want to do for like a music character is make sure the music aspect of them is intact in the moveset itself. And I like the idea that Festive Medic wants to like, because a lot of Festive, the YTP MVs and featuring him have like musical instruments on the sides of the screen, in the background, in the foreground. And I like the idea that maybe he like does a lot of knockback, and he wants to juggle you between an instrument on the UI itself, and just juggle you back and forth, and rack up the damage, then get like a nice combo, and then just pop you, and then you get KO'd. I just have and he has a lot of stuff that's already figured out for him. His recovery is pretty simple enough. You can kind of assume what his final smash would be pretty easily. Yeah, I think he's doable enough. Kasuk Kid. This is a character I also came up way later, but I actually did make sprites for him once upon a time. Just a bunch of idle stuff. I still have an idea what I would do for Kasuk Kid. I'm surprised no one's really like wanted to make a moveset of him, but he's doable enough. I don't think he wouldn't be a complicated character compared to a lot of these. So I would still be interested. I think he's also very funny whenever you think about his taunts. Like, hey, who are you? It's just you and me. And just like the way he talks, it just lends it so perfectly to like a moveset. I so badly want to make him a character. I would love that. Yeah. And then ERB Roosevelt. So I think I talked with another friend that was originally in the Law community about making this character. I think this is just a great character conceptually. I like the idea of all of the special moves being the other main 4 presidents that were featured on a lot of like death battles, like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, all that stuff. And then I just like the idea of like you kicking out like a Thomas Jefferson, and he goes, "I invented the swivel chair." I just love that. I love the funny sass he could have, and he has a couple normals he could do himself. But I like the idea that because he is a lesser president in a lot of ways, he would summon more of the big name presidents from a lot of the other battles to help him out. and then I like the idea for his final smash, or Teddy dropping bombs, and then you just bring in a bunch of like other characters who were associated with explosions throughout ERB, like Oppenheimer would probably pop in there as well. And then yeah, just like stuff like that. Like I think like you don't have to use all the other ERB stuff. I think I would want to focus more on the historical characters, because that is what ERB is all about. But I think it would be doable. Yeah, he would definitely happen. I think he would still be up there, one of my priority characters. Heathcliff. So I am a big fan of Limbus Company. If you couldn't tell, I often delete a lot of my videos because a new update comes out. Limbus Company inherently, though, the reason why I think it's probably never going to be touched in WoW for a while is because inherently it's a in-progress game. A lot of the characters are still getting development. They're still getting like moves and things to do, because it's just a static 12 characters in the roster at all times. And I think Heathcliff right now has the most material that you could do him. But I don't know. Maybe you would. I still think I would want to wait, but he would definitely be up there. I think I would still want to do him personally. I love Heathcliff as a character. And but I still think it's probably more possible that other Project Moon games and characters have a higher chance of appearing before Heathcliff. Soda Junkie. Again, another character I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know. So, this character has a weird history in that I just really like his, not the sequel he's associated with, but the original game, Soda Dungeon. So, a long time ago, I was kind of just on YouTube, and this is like when a lot of the ad stuff was at its worst. I think I randomly just got an ad for Soda Dungeon. And normally I just hate YouTube ads. I think they're annoying. I think they're obnoxious. That's why I have ad blocker. And it's terrible. But this was the one time where I think I got an ad. I was like, whoa, okay, this is different. Like, there was clearly something different about the ad. It wasn't being stupid. It wasn't pandering. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't, like, annoying. It was just, like, a dude. Like, and he was just posting a bunch of funny things and just talking and trying to amp up his game in a very cheesy, like, TV advertisement way from, like, the 1990s. It was very goofy. And it was enough to make me want to check the game out. And it's, you know what, it's not bad. Like, it's fine. I liked it. I didn't really like the art style of the sequel that much. But, you know, I liked it. And it made me think, you know what, I like this character enough. I would want to make a, something, not the game, but I like the game enough to make a something from it. And Soda Junkie is, the first thing you get. He's, like, this random dude who just loves soda. And you send him out to fight and to go after he's amped up on soda and caffeine. Yeah, I think he would making the character from that is hard because they have very limited sprites by nature. You would have to like get a little bit more creative, but I think it would be doable. He also wouldn't be another priority character because this isn't a franchise I'm very invested in again. But like, you know, I would like to see something for this character still. Just because I just feel like I feel passionate enough about it. Vincent. If you couldn't tell, I love a lot of horror games. Vincent from Catherine. I still think I like the idea of more puzzle reps in LoL in general. I think Vincent's a great idea for that. I like the idea of him like moving around blocks and stuff and having to like use items and things to play around the environment. The problem I think comes with like, what do you do beyond that? And after Steve in Minecraft, I feel like people are way more worried about blocks. So, it's also like I'm not very interested in Catherine as well anymore, but I would still like to see him a little bit. He's definitely like not a priority anymore. Maybe I'll probably just put him down here. Yeah, I think of more characters that deserve pain way more. Yuichi. So, outside of Corpse Party, I think Rekindle is probably my favorite RPG Maker game, period. Just because of, like, the story surrounding the creator itself. I know people don't like talking about that or connecting to that, to making that be this game's entire legacy, but for me, it means a lot, and the game itself means a lot to me personally. It was one of the few RPG Maker games I played on the computer at school all the time. And it would be so difficult to make those old-timey RPG Maker assets even work. But he would be pain. But I would definitely still want to do him at some point. I love Yuichi a lot. I think he would also make for a great villain. There's not many villains on this roster right now. I don't really think about villains that much. But I think he would make for a good villain still. Yeah. I think the one thing that kind of, again, struggles is like the sprites. Because they're very tiny. Those RPG Maker sprites are super tiny. Think like, you know how Eve sprites are very thin? It's kind of like that, but they're even more squared down, not just like tall boxes. So that means there's even more of a discrepancy in hitting this character. And at the very least, because he's an RPG Maker character, he has a lot of things he can summon to like, I think he would be a lot more like a stage control character, because a lot of the game is just like capturing kids and like getting them into dangerous situations. It's a horror game. So I like the idea of him just being like a super menacing, like tiny character who makes other giant things to get in your way and deal like lethal amounts of damage and grapple you while he just like pokes you to death. The death of 1,000 cuts. I like it a lot. And then Pjamam Sam. This character kind of was always kind of like a reflexive choice, because I know someone made a Pjamam Sam moveset, but I was never personally very happy with it, and I loved Pjamam Sam as a kid, so it made me really want to, like, do him. The problem is, like, I would normally say that I probably don't really care that much anymore, but I got so heated, I actually bought 2 of the games on Steam. now I kind of have to do him. I feel like it's in my duty to do him at some point. When would I do him? Again, like, I don't know. He has a lot of sprites, inherently being like from one of those old CD games, CD education games. It wouldn't be painful. I think he would just eventually happen on his own. He's not very complicated of a character. All the assets are there. He wouldn't be too difficult at all. Yeah. See, that's it. Those are most of the characters right now, I'd say. I think I'm pretty happy, with this list of characters. Like, the first 5 are about, like, yeah, that's pretty much what I would want nowadays. The characters that would happen later, yeah, it still feels very me. Everything else here kind of either happens or it doesn't. Who knows? But yeah. Again, Lawl Chaos is realistically not happening. The only way it'll happen is if my friends want to help me out and make this a reality, or I pay someone to do moveset after moveset. Because I would pay someone. Again, I do pay people just to make art for me. I would just pay someone to make a Lawl moveset. Again, though, I understand that it is very complicated to make a lot of these characters. They require a lot of assets, so I would want to reimburse them enough. So, like, that's why I would say, oh, maybe a couple $100 or something like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking personally still. Per character, also. And it kind of makes you realize, yeah, that's a lot of investment to make someone animate something for you, huh? I don't know about that. It's like as much as I want to do Lawl Chaos, I know I am kind of screwed personally. I'm too busy right now. All my characters suck. They're way too difficult, man. I feel bad, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, hopefully you're interested in like hearing my thoughts about these characters. I don't know, like, if any of these characters really appeal to the regular Lawl community. I think my interests are very unique and like eccentric, I would say. I don't really go for a lot of popular stuff very much at all. Outside of, like, maybe some of these RPG Maker characters. That's probably the closest thing to a Lawl-esque character. I don't know, though. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy. I like this. This is pretty fun. Maybe I'll... I don't know. Maybe someday. Maybe someday this will come to be. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye!